Welcome to episode 10 of this series on duties of the heart by Rabbi Bachya Ibn Pakuda, and we're going to be dealing with chapter 9 in the first gate, the gate of unity of God. And this is quite difficult subject matter, very philosophical, very metaphysical, and you really have to kind of bend your mind in order to try and kind of make sense of something that is so metaphysical. But we have good commentary to go with this episode. We'll be listening to commentary from Rabbi Raphael Mendel, the 19th century rabbi who wrote Marpei Lenefesh, the Pas Lechem commentary by Rav Chaim Avraham Cohen, 18th century rabbi. Also 18th century, Chovot HaLevavot, Rabbi Yisrael Halevi, and Manoach HaLevavot, that is Rabbi Manoach Hendel, from the 16th century. So let's begin. So Rav Bachya begins. The proof that the Creator is the true absolute unity and that there is no true unity besides Him is as follows. Any composite thing only comes completely into existence when the parts of which it is comprised join together and unite. This association of these parts is the unity. And likewise, the existence of something composite is not possible without dividing or disintegrating the parts of which it is comprised, since composition necessarily implies more than one part. The divisioning of the parts is plurality. And since the signs of composition, synthesis and arrangement are found in the universe as a whole, as well as in its details and parts, in its roots and derivatives, it is necessarily subject to synthesis and division, and must contain the basic principles of unity and plurality. And since, in essence, unity precedes plurality, just like the number one precedes the other numbers, it follows that the first cause of everything that is plural, which was at the head of all beginnings, is itself not plural, since all things plural are preceded by unity. And the commentary via the Chovot HaLevavot states here, the head of all beginnings cannot possibly be plural, since if it were plural, the unity must have preceded it, as we already said that God is the head of all beginnings. And Rabbi Bachya continues, and since causes must reach a limit at their beginning, and it is not possible for a thing to make itself, therefore it is impossible for the cause of unity and plurality to itself be of unity and plurality like them. And since the first cause of the creations cannot itself be plural, nor a combination of plurality and unity, it must necessarily be that the cause is a true unity. So we'll take some commentary from Manoach HaLevavot, and he says, it is not possible for the cause of unity and plurality to be unity and plurality like them, since anything which has unity and plurality, namely unity from one side and plurality from the other, is composite. And every composite is mechudash, or created, and necessitates another maker, since a thing cannot make itself. And Rabbeinu Bahya continues, and we have already demonstrated that the more one ascends the succession of causes, the fewer the causes will be, until eventually the root of all numbers is reached. This is the true unity, and this is true unity, and this true unity is the Creator. Furthermore, it is known that anything which is found in something as an incidental property must also exist in something else as its true essence, and cannot be separated from that without destroying it. For example, hotness, an incidental property of hot water, is the permanent essence in fire, or moistness, an incidental property in various objects, is a permanent essence in water. And let's hear from Marpei Lenefesh commentary. He says, hotness can only leave the fire if the fire is completely destroyed, because it is in its essence, whereas for hot water, even if the hotness leaves the water remains in existence, because the hotness was in the water only as an incidental property. And Rabbi Pakuda continues, and it is known that anything which is found in an object as an incidental property, that object must have received the incidental property from something else, for which that incidental property is in its essence, such as hotness in hot water, which is incidental in the water. It was given to water from fire, whose hotness is in its essence, or some other energy source. And when we see moisture in moist things as an incidental property, we know that it was transformed to them from water, whose wetness is in its essence. Similarly, for all things, if we examine their matters, and we're going to hear from Pas Lechem commentary now, and he states, any quality that we find in a subject as an incidental property, namely, that is not a quality in its essence, but rather only an incidental property attached to it, we will know for certain that this quality must be found in another subject, as a true name reflecting its essence. Since the quality is essence, and that thing its name is called on its truth, not as borrowed or passing term. Therefore, it is called its true name. He brought as an example, he's referring to Rabbi Bachya, hotness in hot water, that even if we never saw fire but only saw hot water, we know that hotness is not an essence property in water, and is just acquired and attached to it from outside. From this we would understand that there must exist something for which hotness is a quality in its essence. And from there the water acquired this property as an incidental property, namely from fire. And Rabbi Bachya continues, through this principle we can direct our words to the matter of unity, since unity is found in every created thing as an incidental property. As we introduced, it necessarily follows that it must be true and permanent, must be a true and permanent essence in the cause of all created things, and from its all created things derive the matter of unity as an incidental property, as we explained. When we investigated the matter of true absolute unity amongst the created things, we did not find it to be absolute or permanent in any of them. If we try to apply it to any of them of the sugim, or types, or broad categories such as animals, minim, these kinds, categories such as the types of horses, ishim, individuals or subcategories of kinds such as one individual horse, etzemim, essences of things, mikra, incidental properties, planets, stars, spiritual bodies, numbers or numbered objects, anything which is finite and limited, and we try to call it one and try to ascribe the term unity to it. This we cannot correctly do to call it one, except in a passing or relative sense, for each of them comprises things which are collectively called one, due to their similarity and joining together in one respect. But essentially, each of them is plural, being subject to multitude and change, division and separation, association and disassociation, increase and diminishment, motion and rest, appearance and form, and other incidental properties, whether specific to it or general that belongs to every creation. So let's stop and hear commentary from Pas Lechem on what we've just mentioned. For example, appearance, form and change is specific to physical things of our world and do not apply to spiritual creations in the higher spiritual worlds. However, the general incidental property of plurality and finiteness applies to all things except God. And Rabbi Bachya continues, absolute unity is not found nor truly ascribed in any created thing. And since unity exists amongst the created things as an incidental property, while all the evidence points to the Creator being one, we will deduce with certainty that the relative unity that we ascribe to any of the created things emanates from the true or absolute one. And this true or absolute unity can only be ascribed to the Creator of all. He is the true one. There is no true unity besides Him. All the implications of absolute unity we have mentioned befit Him alone. All the matters of plurality, incidental properties, change, motion, comparison, or any qualities which is not consistent with true unity cannot be ascribed to Him. As King David said, many, O Lord, my God, are your wonderful works, and your thought towards us, there is no comparison to you. It's from Tehillim 40, verse 6. And from Yeshaya 40, verse 18, to whom then will you liken God? Or what likeness will you compare unto Him? And also back to Tehillim 86, verse 8, among the gods or angels there is none like unto you, O Lord, neither are there any works like unto your word. It has been clarified and demonstrated that the Creator of the world is the true unity, and that there is no other true unity besides Him. For anything we should ascribe the term one besides the Creator is a unity from one aspect, but plural from another aspect. But the Creator is one from every respect, as we explained. What we have brought in this matter should be sufficient for the intelligent person. And that concludes the 9th chapter. And I know this is a very, very tough subject matter, but this is deemed the amount of emphasis that Rabbi Bachya has put into this, in kind of moulding our minds away from anthropomorphic misconceptions about the unity of God and about the nature of God. It's important that we get through this. Also, if you study the Guide for the Perplexed, a tremendous amount of content is dedicated towards this very idea of moulding our minds to a different way of thinking about what God really is. And perhaps it gives us a purer view of what God is, and that helps in some way for us to connect in our minds to God. So next chapter is number 10, and I look forward to delivering that next episode.